The Boeing C-17 Globemaster III is one of the most capable and versatile military transport aircraft ever built. Since entering service with the United States Air Force in the early 1990s, it has become the backbone of American strategic airlift, the invisible infrastructure that allows the most powerful military on Earth to project force anywhere on the globe within hours. The C-17 can carry up to 77 tons of cargo. It can airlift a fully operational M1 Abrams main battle tank. It can deliver 102 fully equipped paratroopers directly over a drop zone. It can land on short, austere airstrips in remote combat zones that other large aircraft simply cannot reach. In humanitarian crises, it delivers food, medicine, and shelter. In war, it delivers firepower, reinforcements, and the means to sustain an army in the field. But beyond its physical specifications, the C-17 represents something deeper in modern military doctrine. It embodies the principle that speed and mobility are themselves weapons. In a world where conflicts ignite without warning and windows of military opportunity close within hours, the ability to move heavy forces rapidly across continents is not merely logistical, it is strategic. When commanders on the ground call for urgent reinforcement, the C-17 is often the first answer to that call. The mission begins not with a formal order but with an alert, a flash message transmitted through encrypted military communications channels, flagged highest priority. Intelligence reports from the battlefield have shifted dramatically in the last 6 hours. Enemy forces have made unexpected advances. A key position is under pressure. The situation is deteriorating faster than anyone anticipated. Within the operations center, officers cluster around glowing screens. The decision is made quickly, because in this environment, hesitation is a luxury no one can afford. A C-17 is ordered to launch within 40 minutes. The clock starts now. On the flight line, the ground crew moves with practiced urgency. Cargo pallets are driven out in rapid succession. Ammunition crates, medical supplies, communications equipment. An armored vehicle is loaded through the rear cargo ramp, its weight carefully balanced against the aircraft's center of gravity. Pilots receive a compressed mission briefing: route, threats, weather, and a landing zone that has not yet been fully secured. They acknowledge the risks with professional calm. The loadmasters seal the cargo ramp. The pilots run through their final checks in minutes instead of hours. The tower clears the aircraft immediately. All other traffic holds. Throttles advance. The massive airframe accelerates down the runway with a sound like controlled thunder, and within seconds, the wheels leave the ground. The C-17 banks sharply into the night and disappears into the clouds, climbing hard toward its destination. Emergency airlift operations like this one do not happen in isolation. They are the visible edge of a vast, coordinated military response that begins long before any aircraft leaves the ground. At the combatant command level, planners have been tracking the deteriorating situation for days. Pre-positioned assets have already been placed on heightened readiness. Special operations forces may already be in the area, providing ground-level intelligence and preparing landing zones. Air defense suppression aircraft may be tasked to sanitize the airspace along the C-17's flight path before it arrives. Tanker aircraft may be scrambled to conduct aerial refueling, extending the transport's range and eliminating the need for vulnerable ground stops. The C-17's arrival at a contested location triggers a chain of responses on all sides. Friendly forces on the ground are alerted to prepare for the incoming resupply or reinforcement. Commanders at every level adjust their plans based on what the aircraft is bringing, and adversaries watching the skies must now recalculate. The delivery of reinforcements, heavy weapons, or critical supplies can fundamentally alter the balance of power on a battlefield within hours of touchdown. Rapid airlift does not simply deliver material, it delivers confidence. It tells the soldiers holding a difficult position that they have not been forgotten, that the full weight of the force behind them is in motion. What began as a localized crisis is expanding. The enemy offensive that triggered this emergency airlift has forced commanders to reassess the entire operational picture. Reports arriving from multiple positions along the front line are increasingly urgent. Casualty numbers are rising. Communications at one forward operating base went dark for 11 minutes before being restored. a detail that sent alarm through every level of the command structure. Now, the C-17 racing through the night sky is no longer the only aircraft in motion. Additional flights are being coordinated. A second C-17 is being loaded at a base in a neighboring country. Fighter escort packages are being assembled. Naval assets in the region are repositioning. The battlefield is changing faster than static plans can accommodate. This is the moment that military theorists describe as a cascade. One urgent decision forcing a series of further decisions, each one bigger than the last. The initial emergency deployment has become the leading edge of a larger operation, the full dimensions of which are still taking shape in the minds of commanders watching their screens and making calls that will determine how the next 72 hours unfold. Military historians and strategists have long understood a fundamental truth. Wars are not won by firepower alone. They are won and lost through logistics, the invisible discipline of getting the right resources to the right place at the right time. The C-17 embodies this principle at the highest level. Its strategic value lies not just in what it carries, but in how fast it carries it. Traditional ground-based logistics, trucks, convoys, rail lines, can take days or weeks to move heavy equipment across a theater of operations. The C-17 compresses that timeline to hours. This compression changes everything. It allows commanders to respond to sudden crises before the enemy can consolidate gains. It enables forces to sustain operations in locations that would otherwise be logistically impossible to support. In modern multi-domain warfare, where the battlefield extends across land, sea, air, cyber, and space simultaneously, the ability to rapidly shift weight from one theater to another is a decisive advantage. A commander who can reinforce a failing position before it collapses or seize an unexpected opportunity before the window closes holds a fundamental edge. The C-17 is the instrument that makes that kind of strategic agility possible. In this sense, every emergency takeoff is itself a tactical decision with strategic consequences. The world is watching. In the age of satellite surveillance and open-source intelligence, the sudden activation of military airlift assets is never unnoticed. Foreign intelligence services track aircraft transponders, monitor communications patterns, and analyze the movement of military assets with sophisticated tools. When a fleet of C-17 begins moving cargo toward a contested region, other governments take immediate notice. Allied nations must decide quickly whether to coordinate their own responses, offer overflight permissions, or position their forces in anticipation of a broader escalation. Adversary states enter heightened alert postures, recalibrating their assessments of American intent and capability. Neutral countries find themselves navigating careful diplomatic positions as they watch the situation develop. The economic consequences follow closely. Global markets respond to geopolitical instability. Energy prices shift as shipping routes are reassessed. Defense stocks move. Governments begin reviewing their own military readiness. A single emergency airlift mission, visible to the world, sends a signal that cannot be unsent. It tells every actor in the international system that the United States has made a decision. And that decision comes with wings, fuel, and 40 tons of cargo moving at 500 miles per hour. When the C-17 finally breaks through the cloud cover and descends toward its destination, the next chapter begins. If the mission is a reinforcement run, the troops and equipment it delivers may stabilize a collapsing front and buy commanders the time they need to mount a counteroffensive. If it is a resupply mission, the arrival of ammunition and medical supplies may determine whether the units on the ground can continue to fight for another day. There is also the possibility of escalation beyond current parameters. The arrival of American military assets in a contested zone can invite responses from adversary forces, attempts to target the aircraft or the landing zone, cyber attacks on logistics systems, or political moves designed to internationalize the conflict further. What happens in the hours after this aircraft lands will shape the course of the entire operation. The C-17 has delivered its cargo. The soldiers on the ground have what they need. Now the battle truly begins. There is a saying among military logisticians: amateurs talk strategy, professionals talk logistics. Every war in history has ultimately been shaped not only by the courage of soldiers on the ground, but by the ability of the systems behind them to deliver what those soldiers need when they need it, without fail. The C-17 Globemaster III is the most powerful expression of that principle in the modern American military. When it launches in the dark hours of the night on an emergency mission, it carries more than cargo. It carries the commitment of a nation, the urgency of command, and the weight of decisions that will echo long after the aircraft has landed and the cargo ramp has dropped. In modern warfare, the outcome,